Free will or no free will? Yes, I do believe we have free will or freedom of the will, as some refer to it. As an atheist, I've been criticized by my fellow non believers for giving in to the religious notion of free will. For example, if you do good, you will be rewarded, and if you are bad, then, well, there's that fiery pit they try to hold over our heads. My counter to that notion is this: if you believe that we don't have free will, then you are, in fact, the one who is bolstering a religious worldview. Bear with me, please. Although many religionists don't see it this way, if a God who is the creator of the universe and has the ability to know all from the beginning of time to the very end, it has been argued that your fate is set and determinism dictates your future. Of course, then, what is the point of petitioning the Supreme Being with prayer or change what is already known? But alas, that is a subject for another 1-minute skeptic. Sam Harris is determined to convince us that we have no free will. He makes eloquent arguments for this case. Harris is a highly qualified neuroscientist, so maybe he is the one we should be listening to. I remember first learning of Harris's thoughts on the subject several years ago, which was right around the same time that we were told about that study showing that our brain knew what we were going to do before we did it. Nearly everyone I knew at the time had just read The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt and were running around convinced we did not have free will because of that study. Yes, they said, this must be it. You don't control your own brain, or thoughts or actions or something. Briefly, let me return to the religious train of thought that I started out with. Let's discuss monism versus dualism. If you want to get to live forever and have a glorious afterlife, you must be a dualist, where the mind and the brain are not one. The self or the mind is outside of our physical being. The body dies, and our separate mind floats gently up into the clouds for eternal celestial harmony. Monists believe that the mind and the brain are the same thing. Your self or identity exists within your brain with all those firing synapses and all that other fun stuff. Monists believe that you can treat damage to or disorders of the brain which affect who you are because you, that is your identity, and your brain are one and the same. So back to the study. Yes, our brain knows what we are going to do before we do it. As Chomsky notes, all they have discovered is what we already knew, that the brain is responsible for motor skills. Indeed, we wouldn't be able to survive very long if there wasn't reflexive actions that happen without our prior consent. When you jump out of the way of a moving car, do you pause for a while and debate your possible options? Chomsky says something like, we already know how the puppet works. We just haven't figured out the mind of the puppeteer. He also says that humans may not have the capacity to ever know if we do have freedom of the will. Daniel Dennett argues that determinism is analogous to having been given all our lottery tickets at birth, or that if we believe that we are not responsible for our own actions, it has been proven that we will act less moral because we can't control ourselves. Even if Harris was right, Dennett suggests that it would be irresponsible to declare to the world that we have no responsibility for the actions that are out of our control. Maybe we live a deterministic existence and are automatically arguing one side or the other. Perhaps we will never know. However, the mistake made throughout history is that people thought they had all the answers and there was nothing left to discover. My thoughts are that somewhere, now unknown to us, in between the study that says our brain makes decisions for us, and on the other end, the thought that we are not mindless automatons preordained to our fate, there is probably some combination of actions that we do not consciously determine and ones that are well thought out and are the product of our monist mind. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments below. Thank you.